Okay, welcome GMAC council members and audience. This is our October 7th, 2021 meeting. We have a new council member that had a prior commitment, so he won't be able to attend. That's Kevin Evans. But otherwise, we have all four council members here. The sheriff has joined us also, I see. And I'm getting some kind of a phone call, which I hope goes away. Don't mind that, folks. I should mute myself, but no, we got to continue here. That'll go away in a second.
Put your phone on do not disturb mode.
Okay, message machine will take it up now. Okay, so let's begin. Still no Mary? No. Okay, so introductions and announcements. We all know each other well. We've been doing this for a while. A consent agenda. We have the approval of the September 2nd meeting minutes, which was 7 pages of minutes, 4.5 hour long meeting. Did everybody have a chance to read those minutes through, or any edits needed at this point?
Yes, I read them through, and I found one thing that I want to correct. It's on item 3. It says it was decided that the matter wasn't on the agenda. It would be addressed at item 15, and there is no item 15 on the agenda last month. So I just want to strike the, it would be addressed at the next meeting. Just change the wording to, it would be addressed at item 15 for the next meeting. Just change it to would be addressed at the next meeting.
At the October 7th meeting?
Well, I just keeping the words they have at the next meeting.
At the next meeting. Item 45 gets, item 15 gets stricken. Okay.
Yes. Item 15, agenda 4. And changes to at the next meeting. And I'll make that change and send the correction to Mary. Anybody else have any changes?
No, I don't think so.
If I have any others,
Melissa,
I
Dawn?
will move to approve the agenda as amended.
The minutes?
The minutes. I move to approve the minutes as amended.
Okay, do we have a second on that? Melissa, Dawn?
I'm confused. So what did you make a move? What was your move?
It was a motion on approving the September 2nd meeting minutes as amended.
Ah.
And do we have a second? And then we can take a vote. Melissa, do you second those?
I didn't read them. I'm actually going to abstain because I didn't read them and I wasn't there for half the meeting either.
Okay, we can, so that's only.
We can vote with 3 votes, but we need a second.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Dawn or I? Okay.
Okay.
Let's vote on approving those meeting minutes then. Dawn?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Robert? Aye.
Okay, I'll show three votes for yes and 1 abstention.
Sounds good. Okay.
Okay, so can I make a comment about these minutes and posting them? I presume now that Mary will send me an email with the approved minutes, because I have not been getting those on a regular basis. That's why those minutes were not posted on the website.
Mm-hmm. So somebody's got to give you final notification that they need to be posted.
How else do I get them? I don't make them. I don't create them myself.
Right, and they
Okay.
say,
Don, I will make this change and I'll send these to you and we'll remind Mary. Robert, would you do that, please?
Remind Mary?
remind Mary to send minutes to Don
Right.
and others. She sends them to a lot of people. I'm not sure why Don is not on her list.
Okay. I
He
will do
wasn't on
that.
her list for the agenda either, and he needs to be.
Right, yeah, I didn't get the agenda until I asked for it. Okay, thank you.
Right on. Thanks, Don. Remind Mary to send minutes to, okay.
I'm gonna go on mute. I have a call coming in.
Okay. So Tom's muted and on the phone at the present time. Next we'll be getting to approval of the agenda for tonight. Just a moment here.
It's correspondence.
You back, Tom?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Well, that was Mary. She says she's having trouble getting in. I'm gonna send her another link, but go ahead with the meeting.
Okay, so correspondence. It doesn't look like we have any correspondence listed here. So
Okay.
I'm trying to remember if we had any.
We did get an email from the county saying that they were offering training again.
That's right, the Brown Act training,
Yeah, that's the only one I know of.
Okay. And then we have approval of tonight's agenda, October 7. Any changes needed? Any edits needed?
None from me.
Okay. Melissa, Don, anybody want to make a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda?
I'll
Looks
move,
good to me.
I'll move that we approve tonight's meeting agenda.
Okay, Melissa, looks good to you. You want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, thanks. And we'll take a vote on that. Melissa,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Robert. Aye. Okay, so then we'll get right to public input and non-agenda items.
There's nobody
Anybody?
else present from the public?
Okay. Any of us want to say anything on non-agenda items or the sheriff?
Not me. I'm gonna go on mute for a minute.
Okay. And should we continue with our law enforcement report, Tom?
Yes, by all means, go ahead. I'm just, you
Okay.
can't hear me because I'm on.
Okay, welcome, Matt. It's your floor.
Well, thank you so much. Good evening, and I appreciate you folks having me here. I'm really looking forward to a time when we can all get back together on things. I like Zoom for some convenience, but it sure is a heck of a lot nicer to be able to run into folks. We've had some things go on the South Coast, mostly that had to do with all of the burglaries that were going on in Gualala in that Pacific Woods area. And so there were several burglaries. We have a suspect in custody. We were able to recover a stolen firearm, and we're still linking that same guy to several burglaries. We believe that there was another fellow who was probably, I don't want to throw it out there, but could have been an accomplice, or he might be a separate burglar. Accomplice is more what I think at this point. We've still got deputies working on that case, but our main suspect, Mr. Micah Pilgrim, is in custody currently for a lot of those things. We have had a lot less complaints of traffic all of a sudden, and I think it's because the highway patrol, they did that kind of swapping around of shifts under the commander in Ukiah. He allowed the sergeants to move some shifts around to get better coverage and doubled coverage, and so they're having more people stay on the beat for longer, because with the doubled coverage where they have some overlap, a lot of these guys are able to get their reports in, and it's pretty seamless because then they have more folks going out onto the field. There's roughly a 2-hour overlap. And so all of a sudden we're experiencing more highway patrol coverage, especially on the coast. And that has really knocked down the number of traffic complaints. And if you noticed, it's also knocked down a lot of the traffic accidents that were happening. And I hope that you guys are having a good experience down in Gualala. I was down there the other day, kind of over by the Observer, And you know how people come down that hill? They really coming in hot. I don't think people realize, you know, where it begins to slow down. And I was watching, and it wasn't what I've seen in the past. People are slowing way down. One issue is they're still coming across the river pretty hot. So I'm sure that you guys have all seen and experienced that. We are having a personnel crisis at the sheriff's office. The Ukiah Police Department is clipping a couple of our younger deputies because they're offering a $20,000 hiring bonus to go over to the Ukiah Police Department. And so we're kind of moving into that area where we're going to have to do some new and exciting things to attract people. I've got one deputy sheriff who's on training right now. He graduated the academy about 2 months ago. I've got 2 more deputy sheriffs in the academy. And then I've got some lateral hires coming from out of the area. And so that's moving in the right direction, but we're still losing those other officers to the Ukiah Police Department right now. So I'm going to be working with the Board of Supervisors for a more incentivized hiring. Now, we did get the bonuses for the South Coast and for Covelo, because those are the 2 places where our response time really has me concerned. You know, if you think about Potter Valley, if my deputy is working in the Adam Beat, his response time is about 12 minutes. Boonville, response time about 16 minutes. But then you move to Covelo in the South Coast, you're looking at 47-minute response times. That's why we've got to have residents in those areas, or I have to have 100% full capacity at the sheriff's office so that I can have 2 12-hour shifts. And then I can keep the South Coast and Covelo full. But it's got to be one or the other. Do you folks have any questions for me? Do you have any concerns or complaints about anything? And have you noticed a reduction in speed, especially in the area around Gualala?
Sheriff, I'll take that one first. Yes, I've seen the 2 police cars out here, the 2 CHP cars, and they made me slow down. And I think they made a lot of people slow down, and I know they made some people stop. So I'm glad to see that presence there. It's something we hear a lot about in this community, and it's always, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's always nice to see the CHP looking to catch speeders in front of my house. So the area you were talking about really coming down hot, are you talking about coming from the north on the southbound one, or are you talking about south of town?
A couple of months ago, I was over there to the north of Gualala. They were going south, and they were coming into town at a speed that was just ridiculous. I stopped a few cars, and strangely enough, none of them were locals. And the last time I was over there, I believe last week, early last week, I didn't see that same activity coming into town, but I saw them coming from the south going northbound when they came across the bridge. And once again, it didn't look like locals. I didn't stop anybody that day. I was working on something else, but it was noticeable how fast they were coming up. The good news was that they started slowing down the moment that they got to basically where the old pizza parlor is there. But it was just uncomfortable, the speed that they were going, until they realized they were in a town. And, you know, you can see the look all over their face was, oh, hey, I'm in town. And honestly, growing up in these small towns, everybody knows when they're in town. The out-of-towners just don't realize it because there aren't 10,000 stoplights and things there.
Well, on the southbound one, that's a real issue for us. That's Caltrans and us have been going back and forth about the need for a left turn lane at the north end of town at Ocean Avenue. There have been 2 rear end accidents on the southbound lanes. One left one of our local residents with some permanent brain damage.
Oh,
we're pretty upset about that. And recently Caltrans said they were re-looking at putting it in. We had asked them to put it in, and they decided in their wisdom they didn't need to. So we're asking them to revisit the lane on the turn lane on the north end of town, not just there, but to the south of Ocean as well. On the northbound lanes on one coming from the south, you're right. People don't come down that hill from the before the bridge very fast, come over the bridge pretty fast. And then despite a series of signs saying 40 zone ahead, 25 zone ahead, and the speed feedback sign, they tend to go through that speed feedback sign at 40, 45 miles an hour. I always slow down to try to get it down to 25. And I usually have people just racing up on my tail when I do that. So it is an issue. And there's a couple of blind intersections before you get to the pizza parlor, including one just before it.
Yeah.
And that's where Caltrans is now thinking about putting large vehicle parking. And we've told them we think that's a bad idea because it would further block the intersection. It's a real problem. That's the intersection that goes to our post office. So it's a pretty busy little street, Sunstrom Street.
Well,
Anyway,
and also anytime that somebody goes out to take the active, or I'm speaking in pilot talk now, but when they're coming out to hit the roadway, if there's anything blocking that view, you've got to inch out, inch out, inch out. And next thing you know, half of your car is out in the road. If these guys aren't going slow, I mean, they can't see you, you can't see them, and you got half your vehicle in the road by the time that you can tell whether it's safe to pull out or not. So
we did a presentation on this a couple of meetings ago. I think it was after you left the meeting, and it's available on YouTube. I'd be glad to send you that link and have you take a look at this. And maybe you can advise Caltrans what you think of our recommendations in there. We told them don't build a large traffic vehicle parking. And please, they can add the left turn lane at the north end of town. And they had previously ruled out parking in front of the service center because of congestion. And then they said, well, we're thinking about putting it back. And we told them, well, you could put it back there instead of the north end of town because it makes more sense on an interim basis. And but only if they reverse their finding that it's too congested there, because it is the most congested part of town. I almost hit somebody yesterday coming out of the south side of the surf market. So it's a problem. We're aware of it, but your voice is important, and we appreciate you taking a look at that.
yeah, and if you don't mind sending me that link, because and they should also take some input from the highway patrol there, because if I see it when I'm pulling out, they're seeing it every time that they're down there. That combined with the fact that people are coming into town with speeds that just aren't comfortable, you can't have anything blocking view when you get ready to go out and take that main highway 1. So,
well, I will also get in touch with the new CHP commander and send it to him. Maybe, I know you and he will probably be talking at some point, and you can exchange your views on that. We'd be glad to have law enforcement weigh in on traffic safety in Gualala. You're the guys who have to clean up the messes.
yeah.
And now's the time to do it while we're talking to Caltrans about what the road looks like. So appreciate that.
Then the only other thing, JD was in a class all day today. And so he wasn't able to make it tonight, but he and I both wanted to extend our appreciation to everybody down in Gualala who helped us to solve these burglaries. Especially on the South Coast, for some reason, people just tend to look out for their neighbors a little better. And they're also paying attention to things that just don't look right in the community. And a little bit of surveillance video, a whole bunch of people who saw things going on, we were able to put it together. And we've got some good success in the investigation. And every time that we do that, our DA, his point is, you guys can go be criminals wherever you want. You just can't do it in Mendocino County. It's not going to work for you here. And hopefully we will continue on down that road until everybody says, wow, let's not do that in Mendocino County. It doesn't work out well. And, I would love that we have no more crime. I would jump for joy if I woke up one morning, came to work, and my jail commander said, well, we're out of inmates. I guess we're going to shut down 2 wings of the jail. I could do wonderful things with that, especially with we have a new inmate services coordinator, and we're working on all kinds of things right now. A lot of these guys who are in custody, to be honest with you, who have just basically substance abuse and addiction issues that have caused major portions of their life to go south, and they go into crime. One of our goals right now that we're working real hard on is to get these guys jobs and not have a homeless person leave the jail. Huge goal of mine is you should always walk out the door better off than when you walked in. And we're moving in the right direction on that right now. We've partnered up with with probation so that we can get them started into a lot of these programs that they need. And then because we've got them started into it while they've got time on their hands, they're doing the work, they're doing the workbooks, they're working out in the garden, they're doing all of these different things. It makes that handoff to probation so much easier when they walk out the door, when they already know and have a relationship with the service providers and the probation officers that they're going to be dealing with. And so we're hoping to have some good successes out of this. And a byproduct of this is it makes my jail easier to run. It really does, because everybody in there wants to do something every day that's productive. And if they're out working in the garden, if they're out working with beehives, if they're out, doing those things, they are getting something done every day. And like everybody else, we want to be productive and we want to get something done, and they have a good time doing it. It makes the jail easier to run. Even if that's the only byproduct of this, it's a win.
And one other thing I'll mention, Sheriff, is that I spoke to a young man this week who was interested in GMAC. And I asked him, what he knew about it. And he said that he watches our videos, and then he stopped and he said, well, I usually watch it at least until the sheriff's on. He's really interested. I just wanted to pass that along, that you're one of our stars here, and we appreciate your time, and so does our community.
Well, we really appreciate the partnerships that we have, especially on the South Coast, because we're some crimes left and right when they come up, and is preventing crimes in the future. So, I would love to get to the point where all that we have to do is meet up with each other and have a cup of coffee and talk about the weather. And someday we will be there, but right now we've been pretty darn busy. We've had a lot of violence in the north. We've had, a lot of things that come with basically major drug trafficking organizations. And we're going to get that under control. We're working hard on it right now. So, all right, if there's no more questions for me, it looks like Robert's got something to say.
Yeah, it's only, I wanted to thank you for, it's nice to hear the good things that the community is cooperating and participating. We for years, we've been hearing that, we're, the response times are a little bit longer down here. So I think the community is accustomed to helping each other out a little bit more because of that fact, and also about, that's great to hear. We know we have to do a little bit more on our own at times. Also, what you mentioned about the highway patrol, I have a downtown office here, right? I hear the speeding quite frequently, and when they are here, and I know where they hang out on the sides of the highway, they're quite busy. And in fact, they're chasing people south and north. They're not parked for about 5 or 10 minutes, and they're chasing somebody down. So when they're here present, it's very soothing to, you worry when you hear cars speeding, and the next thing you know, you're thinking you're going to hear some kind of an accident further down the highway or up the highway, because it's such a surprise to hear somebody going so fast when you're working at your desk in the office. And so when they're present, the more they're present, the more likely I think people will slow down, other than maybe some of those locals or those non-locals that just don't know any better.
Well, I stopped a couple of young fellas in between Boonville and Navarro, and it was both on a Wednesday, believe it or not. And they were from Marin County, and there is some young guy car club who comes up here. And, I shook my finger at one in my citation book at another. They were telling me, well, everybody wants to come up and drive up Highway 1 and go out 128. And I go, hey, that's fine. That's wonderful. We appreciate it. But you drive the speed limit, the locals, we love to see you here. We love to see you purchasing goods and having a good time on the coast. We don't want to scrape you up in an accident. And, I think that we need to have some type of an education process that talks about how dangerous these roads can be, and some of these young folks, they've got fast and fancy cars, and they just want to push them to the limit, right? And I drive that plain old white pickup truck, and they're always shocked to see me, and I really enjoy that. I like the fact that they're shocked to see me, and most of them, for the most part, will admit right off the get-go, yeah, that was foolish, and I'm going to knock it off. If I run into them twice, then they get to say that to the judge.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, Matt.
Don, it was good to see you, and you take care as well.
Good to have you here.
Sheriff, I have a couple comments if you don't mind.
Yes, Don?
For one, related to the, I guess these are burglaries on Pacific Woods that have occurred in the past. I just want to make note to you as well that one of my neighbors had a certain amount of redwood lumber stolen from their property. I'm not going to, say publicly who this is or anything, but I contacted the neighbor and they came by and secured their gate. The gate was broken. Somebody broke into their property. Nobody was at the property at the time. I didn't hear what was going on, so I didn't know until I saw next day or two what had happened. So then I contacted the owner. So perhaps the owner did not report this. I don't know. I mean, that's up to this individual, I think. But just wanted to let you know that also happened on Pacific Woods within the past couple months. And then on the speed issue in town, I do think that it's a problem approaching from both the north and the south. I'm just wondering if, and again, this is probably a CHP issue. Well, it is a CHP issue fundamentally. Whether or not we could put in some speed bumps or rumble strips or whatever. I've been up in Sebastopol recently and they seem to use them up there, as you're approaching town to remind people that, other than the sign that, you need to slow down, So I'm wondering if we could do something similar here.
Well, I know that.
I especially think that the approach from the north going south is potentially dangerous with that hill. I mean, I'm always slowing down. Typically, I mean, sometimes I'm going a little bit over 25, but if there's somebody behind me, oftentimes they're right on my tail.
Yeah.
And
I can tell you that I know that Caltrans does not ever like to put a speed bump on a state highway, but the rumble strips are super effective. I drove to Sebastopol the other night with a buddy of mine. He was picking up a new set of springs for his pickup truck off of Craigslist, and we hit those rumble strips, and it is a real quick reminder, and it's not a terrible thing. It doesn't jar your vehicle or anything, but it's a sound and a feel in the steering wheel that reminds you, hey, oh yeah, pay attention, I'm coming into town. And the other thing is, they've done a lot of different studies over the years. Long expanses of road coming up to a town, like when you come into Covelo, you've got roughly 3.5 miles that is a straight, wide open road. You can, I mean, there's nothing in the way. You can see the entire way. Long expanses of road and hills will cause greater speed because people get lulled into the sense of there is nothing around me. And I can't help but think that when you're coming from the south and you go across the bridge, you're on that long expansive road. It's a big wide road and it's all open. People just don't realize they're in a town until they're in the middle of town. And so maybe those rumble strips would be just the thing that the doctor ordered, when you hit the 40. And then that would give them the, oops, I'm doing 55 and a 40. And then they would pay more attention to the 25. And so I think that would be something that would be absolutely wonderful. And just hitting those strips the other night, I can tell you that it's a wake up at 7:30 in the evening after you worked all day. It's like, whoa, oh, holy smokes, here we are,
If I could just add to that a little bit, when JD and Aaron Finnegan were down here looking at our streetscape project some months ago, JD made an observation that I thought was very good. We were looking at that hill coming down from the north into town. And he said, when he comes over there and when other people come over there, you've gone through all turns on the north end of town. It's kind of woodsy and there's not much vision. And then you come over that crest and there's this wide open road all the way through Gualala, and people you're heading downhill and it's just easy to lean on the pedal. I think that's a lot of wisdom in that. So I think rumble strips is one of the things that we've talked to the CHP about. It was popular with the folks who live at Cypress Village, which is just on your left in that point. And I think it's something that I'd like to see, and I think Caltrans is a little resistant to that, but we'll bring it up in our next discussion with them. On the south end of town, that could be two. We also talked about a traffic circle at Old State Highway and Highway 1, but that's not part of the streetscape project. That would be a separate project that's below the start of this project. So that's another way to go to slow people down, to let them know they're coming into a town. But yeah, you know, I want to go through those, what was it, Monterey, not Rio Vista, one of those have rumble strips on Highway 16 or on River Road.
Yeah.
And every time I go over them, it's a reminder, oh yeah, this is a 25. So it's worth looking into.
Well, and the other thing with the rumble strips, very little maintenance to keep them up. I've got a cousin who works for Caltrans,
Yeah.
and it's just not an expensive endeavor. You know, that's something that we can do for very little money.
But you can imagine what happens when people come racing down that hill, want to take a left turn up to RCMS,
Yeah.
and just come to a stop. And like Don said, people are right on your back fender.
Yeah.
And it's just all too easy to cause a rear end accident there.
Well, and
so
there's
I'd
plenty
like
of-
to see.
There's plenty of width for turn lanes on both ends. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a really
There
wide
is.
area.
There's supposed to be a left turn lane all the way through town, and that's something that we've been debating with Caltrans about for the last 2 years. And you know, they were agreed to put it on the south end of town. Now they're talking about parking on the south end of town. We talked about the north end of town. Now they're talking about putting it back on the north end of town. We really need to get together with them. We'll talk about that a little later in the meeting, but we need to talk to them again and find out where their head's at this point. This is 27 years this town's been in agreement about what's needed, and Caltrans is hitting the brakes on this for way too long here, I think.
Well, and they've got some funds, and they're working on several things in Covelo area right now with traffic calming measures and whatnot. There's a bunch of different projects they have on the plate, and you know, these are projects that I believe they have to have done by June of 2024 or something like that. It's actually a real rapid turnaround time. And so now might be the time where they've got this funding and they want to strike while the iron's hot. And a lot of that stuff, to be honest with you, is just not that expensive. I mean, rumble strips are not expensive endeavors. These things they're worth their weight in gold, but they don't cost much. So
Yeah, and yeah, I think, you know, we could get your voice to talk to Caltrans and to maybe drop a note in on MCOG. This is really an MCOG project. To Dan Jurdy, to Ted Williams, and let them know that, hey, you really need to make these improvements in Gualala, because we're very eager to see them.
yeah, and then the other thing that we constantly need to bring up to Caltrans and whatnot is everybody understands the cost, but it takes us for them to understand the value. Cost and value, people get them confused, and it takes the locals and the folks who are working down there every day to be able to adequately describe the value. So
Yeah.
Hey, gentlemen, a quick explanation on rumble strips. Are they applied above grade, or it's a little confusing because I'm handling a project here later on the agenda where we talk about rumble strips. But when the Caltrans did the repaving project from Point Arena south to Gualala, they did the yellow center left turn, the yellow center line, double yellow line, and they have all those depressions, I think they are, in the road.
yes,
What are those referred to?
those are also rumble strips, and they're also on the white line on most freeways now.
Okay.
And those depressions are actually cut in with a machine that basically cuts small divots. And the divots are only, heck, I don't know if I can adequately describe it, but they're probably 2.5 to 3 inches wide by about 6 inches long. And all that they do is create noise when your car hits them. And you can feel it a little bit in the steering wheel, but because they're actually cut in, and the ones in Sebastopol the other night, I could feel them. They were cut in, and they're a very easy thing to put in. They have a machine that actually cuts them.
So
I
that
thought the
also
ones in,
referred to, what's
I
that?
thought the ones in Sebastopol were just laid on the surface of
On
the
the surface?
pavement. That's-
The ones when you come in off of is it not 116? What is that road? They
Bodega
actually,
Highway, Bodega Highway?
yeah, they actually had them cut in on a crosswalk area. And I felt those when I went across. They have some BOTS style ones that are actually laid over and glued on.
Yeah.
But you know, the ones that are on the white line and the ones that are on the yellow line are actually cut in with a machine. So if you drift over the white line, it goes burr, you know, that
Yeah.
feeling. And they do it in a kind of a crosshatch pattern so that when you go over them, you can feel it and you can hear it, but it doesn't throw your car off the road or anything.
No, I find those very effective, the ones that are on the double yellow line, especially on turns.
Yeah, that's when my wife chews me out and says it's her turn to drive, when I hit that about 3 times.
Well, thanks for the explanation on that, you guys.
Hey, you guys take care. I'm gonna thunder off. I'm gonna clean up my email and try to make it home before my wife fires me from being her husband.
Okay, Matt.
Thanks, Sheriff.
You
Thank
take
you,
good care.
Sheriff.
Okay, thanks for all that information, you guys.
Mary and I have been going back and forth. She's been unable to connect to the internet, and
Oh,
I
boy.
don't think she's going to get on. If I see her come on, I'll of course link her in, but it's down to the 4 of us. And I
Okay.
will also note that, knowing what's coming up on the agenda, we do not have anybody here from the cell tower team. So
We
That's
don't,
correct.
okay, so it was continued to this meeting, from what I remember. And what were some of the key points that we needed to have information on? It was whether or not the community had been further notified, I believe, right?
No, I don't think it was so much that, because, you know, I checked with the planning department.
Oh, you
and,
did, okay.
And they don't notify anybody unless it's a planning department meeting. And so for when this does come before the planning department, the commission, there will be notices that go out, but not for our meeting. And I think, you know, mostly we wanted from the AT&T people an explanation of what kind of need this cell tower is designed for in terms of increased coverage that is not already perhaps taken care of by the tower Big Gulch, which is just down the hill, you know,
Right.
literally just down the hill a ways from this proposed new tower. You know, I am not inherently opposed to a cell tower where it makes sense. And we need the communication capability, especially for first responders. But, you know, I'm kind of opposed to any kind of overlap that just doesn't make sense. So I need to be convinced that there's a real need, that this is going to serve a purpose. And then I will feel I have enough information to vote on this. It's unfortunate that they're not here tonight. I did call and remind them of the meeting, and ask them if they were going to be here, but I didn't get a call.
So I get the feeling, Don, that might have been put on our agenda prematurely this last month, because we weren't officially notified by County Building and Planning Department. I mean, we did pick it up, come to think of it, on the agency referrals, or Mary did, or somebody did, when we were doing the agenda. And that's why
I think you're talking about 2 different things here. Don's talking about the requirement that the company notify neighbors. Aren't you, Don?
Right.
No, I
And-
was not talking
Oh,
about.
I was the one that was all about
The
telling
neighbor-
the neighbors about what was going on, because the last cell tower we had, it included information on everyone who was nearby, who they were, what their address was, and they had contacted them.
And I agree, and that's why I think those applications were a little bit further along than this one may have been, and that's why I was wondering if it was put on our agenda a little bit prematurely.
I don't know the answer to that one.
So, but Don checked into it a little bit, but it's apparently still coming up for review by us at some point, right, Don?
Well, you know, if nobody's
Yeah.
here tonight, obviously, we
Yeah.
have to put this out off, you know, until next month.
Right.
But I think we have time because apparently the planning commission and the planning department's not going to do anything with this until early next year. That's what
Okay.
I,
Well, Don, I think maybe we could just table this again tonight, and Don could check back with the planner and the applicant and find out why they weren't here and when we need to act. We were checked as one of the agencies they wanted to get feedback from on the application.
And they
So-
got it.
So we
They
haven't
got
gotten
it,
I don't think we can do anything with this tonight.
no,
But we did also ask for coverage maps, did we not?
yes, we did.
And
Coverage and as Don said, what exactly it would add, what services were available.
mhm.
Melissa had
How
questions
many
about
new-
notifying neighbors.
How many new customers would they be serving if this was put in?
Was also a point, yes.
Yeah, it's not only what services they will make available, but the need for these services. You know, they talk
Right.
about
Would be covered by-
internet.
How many people would,
access. Well, what they would provide for internet access is basically a similar service as for the reach, you know, or Sky Fiber. That is a wireless internet access capability. So we already have those two services here. As a matter of fact, I checked with Further Reach, and they serve that area right around the tower, Ocean Ridge Drive.
Uh-huh.
So internet's available there. Now, the question is, will this tower in that location provide internet access to customers that maybe don't have internet access now in other areas further away? This I don't know, and this is one of the questions I would like answered.
So will we officially invite them at what if, well, yeah, we will. Okay, so we're talking about tabling this for now, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah, next,
Okay,
let's go and say we can't do anything but gas about it.
okay, so we'll have our radar up for when it comes before us again, okay?
And I just double checked, we are listed as a referral agency on the application, which is
Okay.
was filed 2 months ago,
Okay.
July 7th.
So we legitimately put it on the agenda last month. It was controversial, all right, okay. Well, if you all agree, then we'll table it and we'll move on to the next item, which is 5B,
Okay,
okay? Now that
Okay.
that's something that I was going to handle with our new council member, Kevin Evans, but then, shortly after our last meeting, he let me know that he had this trip planned, and I notified you all via email, so I kind of handle it myself. It says it right in the agenda. It's initial study, proposed negative declaration by Caltrans, and the project is the Gualala Shoulders and Rumble project. It's between the mile markers 6.4 to 6.8 north of Gualala, north of Anchor Bay here, and at the mile marker 9.2 to 9.5. I took a couple pictures from the roadside just to show people roughly where it's at. This picture here, thanks Tom, is heading south, just south of Iverson Road before you get to Walker Gulch. You see the big caution sign, 25 miles per hour, S turns, okay? Lloyd Chasey lives just on the right side there, okay? In case a reference point there for Don and I when we went out to visit that CDP. Okay, now this is heading north, just past Amerigas. Amerigas is just south of the fenced property there. And this is going through, this is looking the other way. Gypsy Flat Road is on your left here with the mailboxes, and you're going into those S turns there just before you get to Amerigas on the right-hand side. So those are the two locations. One's, and this would be as you're heading north towards Iverson Road and about to cross over Walker Gulch. You see that house that's in the background there that has a high facade. This is another area where there's these S turns. So those are the two locations. Thanks again, Tom, for putting up those pictures.
Sure.
This is a 236-page Caltrans technical engineering document, okay? I tried to go through all the pages. It's quite a bit of stuff, but it examines the potential environmental effects of this proposed project, why the project is being proposed, how the existing environment will be affected, the potential impacts and the proposed avoidance, minimization and or mitigation measures. So Caltrans is basically seeking comments. The proposed project is to widen the shoulder and build rumble strips at these locations. The mitigated negative declaration is subject to change based on comments received by interested agencies and the public. So the project has no effect, impacts, and less than significant impacts on the resources, the natural resources. That would be on page 9 and page 10 of the document.
Okay,
So
so Robert,
Yeah.
if I understand correctly, here is a case where CHP or the Caltrans is in fact recommending rumble strips that are going to be placed across Highway 1. Is that correct?
Exactly, but not so much across Highway 1. I'm thinking it's more on the shoulders. And that's why I was asking that question about rumble strips, because I was just getting familiar with these kind of rumble strips, or with the rumble strips that they did when they did the highway paving. And now they're talking about other kind of rumble strips. So I'm wondering what kind these are in this application, in this.
Okay, so it's not clear whether these are rumble strips that go completely
On the
across
roadway.
the road, on the
On the
roadway.
actual roadway. No, I'll get to it here pretty quick, Don, but I think it's meant for the white line, the white fog line on the sides of the road, okay, is what they're referring to in this application, on these rumble strips.
Okay,
So the document goes on, the 236-page document goes on to explain the history that the description, permits and approvals that they're going to need. Their best management practices are explained. The whole big, huge, most of the document is full of the environmental checklist. And then the important thing that I thought was the coordination with property owners, because there will be quite a few property owners that are affected by this. In fact, well, I'll get to that in a little bit here too. The project itself was initiated in response to public complaint about lack of access and safety for non-motorized users on the highway between Gualala and Point Arena. So Caltrans did a subsequent review of the collision history, indicated a combination of shoulder widening and shoulder rumble strips that would address the run off the road collisions by providing a recovery area and rumble strips to alert vehicles leaving the traveled way. So that's the white fog line I'm thinking.
Robert, can I ask a question?
Sure.
What this brings to mind to me is the safety for cyclists. And you just mentioned non-motorized, travelers.
Exactly.
So if we put rumble strips, the kind that are in the middle of the road now, the ones that are dug in,
Yeah.
on the side of the roads where that white strip goes,
Uh-huh.
that's going to be a danger for cyclists. I can guarantee you that.
Don, I think you missed the part about expanding the shoulder.
Well,
There'd be rumble strips on the line between them to separate the bikes from the cars.
Okay,
well,
yeah, I was thinking of that too. If in fact the shoulder is wide enough so that cyclists can just ride on the shoulder, then that would mitigate the problem of these rumble strips going along that white line.
yeah, and I was there's somewhere in my little presentation here where I was going to mention that. Okay, here it is. Travel lanes would be widened throughout these S-turns, throughout the project area, to ensure uniform 12-foot lanes. Shoulders would be widened to 4 feet, and edge line rumble strips would be installed in the northbound and southbound directions. So does that, I don't know if that, the 4-foot wide shoulder, if that means that there'll be plenty of room for pedestrians and cyclists beyond the white line, white fog line that has the rumble strip in it. I'm
Well,
not,
Yeah,
good
if that
question, good
4-foot
comment.
if that 4-foot shoulder is paved like the road and not just gravel,
Yeah.
then yeah, that'll be really, really good for cyclists.
Mhm. And those are some of the more dangerous areas for cyclists going north or southbound, is
Exactly.
those S turns. And then they're not seen always.
Right,
Got
right.
traffic coming both ways. Oh, it's just an accident waiting to happen. And I think they said after subsequent review of collision history, that was why they're doing this project, apparently. So the purpose of the project is to improve highway safety conditions for non-motorized vehicles throughout the project limits of these two areas. The project is needed to reduce the frequency and severity of collisions occurring along the project limits and to improve highway facility conditions for bicyclists and pedestrians. Right of way and parcel acquisition, they want a permanent right of way acquisition would be required for 12 residential parcels. It said to see Appendix D, which I did. And Appendix D, it talks about coordination with property owners. Permits to enter these properties were obtained back in 2018. So they could study the environmental constraints and to perform environmental studies. And these negative declaration will be sent to the owners and occupants of properties within and adjacent to these project areas, which was encouraging to hear. I saw the list of property owners, many of them who I know, so that are along these two stretches of S turns. So it's good to hear that they're going to be included on all this, and already have been, because you're talking about some of their property is going to be acquired, So
Some of them are gonna have to rebuild their fences.
exactly, it talks about where does it say? Center line could be shifted to the east in some areas, up to 4 feet or more. Road signs, utility poles, and mailboxes will be relocated. So it's a pretty big project for those property owners. And I don't know what else to tell you guys other than just that was what I briefly summarized from the 236-page document. And it is a initial study, proposed negative deck. So I guess Caltrans would like to hear any of our comments. So if we have any comments, one of the comments you mentioned, Don, was we wouldn't want that to jeopardize bicyclists, these rumble strips on the sidelines, or any other comments we have, we should probably forward to Caltrans. Frank Dembling happens to be the project coordinator on this, or project manager on this. So we definitely know how to get a hold of him. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually like the rumble strip idea. If we're understanding it right, I'd like to see do you have a drawing of this thing, Robert? Or did they give you a
Yeah, if you know how to get
illustration?
you all know how to get to the agency referrals, right?
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not in there.
Okay, yeah, it is.
This came through the mail from a different source. This is a secret document.
Well, it actually
Did you get
is.
this from agencies?
Where did I get this from? I'll forward the document to you guys. How's that?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think we should take a position on this and endorse it.
Yeah.
But trying to get out of here. I remember this came up 2 months ago, and it required checking onto a special CEQA site. It came through the mail to Mary, and it was listed a CEQA site. And I went to the CEQA site, and there's precious little information for it there, but it was not on the agency referrals because it's not coming from an agency.
Okay, let me see if I can find it right now, Tom. And I will forward it to you.
My comment is that it sounds good to me. I'm intimately and personally acquainted with those little S curve areas between here and Point Arena, and they're a hot mess. Right?
They're a little bit dangerous, yeah.
Yeah, I have to slow clear down to 40 because I don't want to drive it like I'm at Sears Point.
Yeah. Okay, hang on a second here. Let me forward it to all three of you, okay? Then you'll, I'm pretty sure I can do this here.
Well,
Okay.
we're not gonna work on this tonight, are we?
No, but I just,
No.
so I don't forget, there it is.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
I'll do that after the meeting,
So-
okay?
So is this one tabled as well?
Yeah, we can table it, unless, we're not gonna do anything, we're not gonna take a vote or anything on it, so, I was just presenting it to you guys so you knew what it was all about.
Okay,
And-
sounds good,
and you'll-
Robert.
And you'll get further information from me on it, okay?
Okay, thanks, Robert.
Okay, you're welcome. Go on with the meeting then?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
Item
council-
6A.
Council matters, old business, possible letter regarding the Gualala Community Pharmacy. Melissa?
Yeah. I don't know if it's too late. I mean, I sent my personal letter off last month before it closed. But I could send a letter to Emily Peccio on the GMAC official stationery. And if we were all in sync on saying, yes, GMAC wants to ask them to do this. Get a waiver related to section 1713 of California pharmacy law that would, the Gualala Community Pharmacy location could continue to be a pickup location for patients' medications. For only prescription medications.
So that letter would be supporting that, right?
Yes.
And you'd be willing
You
to
want
write
me to
that?
read the letter? You want me to read the letter I wrote?
Why, sure you could, if it's, how long is it?
3 paragraphs.
Do you need, GMAC letterhead for that?
I already have that.
Good, okay, wow, please read it.
Dear Emily Tecchio, I'm writing to you to request that your office support to help facilitate a waiver request to the California State Board of Pharmacy so that the former Gualala Community Pharmacy location may continue to be a pickup location for patients' medications, in particular a waiver related to Section 1713 of California pharmacy law. The loss of this pharmacy is a real hardship for the people of the town of Gualala and the surrounding area because of how far it is now to the nearest pharmacy, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. It is particularly onerous for me personally as I'm immunocompromised, and due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I've not traveled any further than 15 to 20 minutes from Gualala since January of last year, 2020. I have no way to get prescriptions in person at all, and I'm now forced to find a way to have prescriptions mailed to me now that the Gualala pharmacy has gone out of business. So please do whatever you can to ensure that the Gualala pharmacy can continue to be a pickup location for our prescription medication here in Gualala. Sincerely, Melissa Finley, Gualala, California.
I'm pretty much okay with that, but I think you should drop out the part about how it would affect you personally and maybe the last paragraph. If you did that, it would end just before that.
But it's coming,
You want to
but
read
it's
that
coming-
last sentence before that started, Melissa?
it's, Tom, hang on, can I say something? That letter
Yeah.
sounded like that letter sounds like it's coming from her personally, Tom. If she
Yeah, it
were,
does.
Yes,
It-
and that's what I have.
okay, if she
That's
were
what
to,
I have written, and I am now deleting the paragraph. It is particularly onerous for me personally. I wasn't sure if that should be in an official letter or not, and now it's deleted.
yeah, I was gonna say that if you were writing that from a GMAC perspective, take it out. But if you're writing it a second letter or that same letter on a personal basis, leave it in.
No, I've already
Robert,
sent it with
she
that
already-
personally, and I
Oh,
just now
okay,
took it out.
okay. It's a GMAC letter, I'm sorry, yeah.
Right.
So Melissa,
Then
can you read that again if you stop just before that?
Okay. I won't repeat the first paragraph. The second paragraph is the loss of this pharmacy is a real hardship for the people of the town of Gualala and the surrounding area because of how far it is now to the nearest pharmacy, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. in the paragraph, third paragraph. So please do whatever you can to ensure that the Gualala Pharmacy can continue to be a pickup location for our prescription medication here in Gualala. Sincerely, the entire Gualala Municipal Advisory Council membership. No. Sincerely, the Gualala Municipal Advisory Council.
Melissa,
Put the whole thing.
Melissa Finley, yeah. I could sign on to that with
No.
the personal stuff out, yes.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that as well.
So I'll start. So sincerely, Gualala Municipal Advisory Council.
And
Melissa
No,
Melissa Finley,
Melissa,
yeah,
Melissa, why don't you sign it sincerely, Melissa Finley, comma, member Gualala Municipal Advisory Council, and you could insert a sentence in there saying, our council voted, whatever our vote is, to support this request.
Our council voted unanimously.
well, let's take a vote that we want you to write that letter. Take a vote, okay?
I'll move to approve that.
Okay, second on approving that letter?
I'll second that.
Okay, good. Then we'll take a vote. Don,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Robert, aye, and Melissa?
Aye.
Okay, so,
So
I'll
I'll add
put
the
that
last
down.
sentence.
I'll put that down as moving to approve Melissa's letter as amended.
as
But
amended?
no,
Okay.
I read it and okay. Okay, my last paragraph will be one sentence. Our council voted unanimously to approve this letter to be sent to you.
Right, okay,
That's fine.
Okay.
great, okay.
And I'll just add to that item, we should vote. We have a motion on the table.
We did vote.
Oh,
We
we
just
did.
voted.
Okay, sorry. I'll just add to that, that I heard from an acquaintance that RCMS, if there's a medication prescribed by RCMS, they will phone it up to the pharmacy in Fort Bragg, and the pharmacy in Fort Bragg will try to deliver it same day. If it did before 2 p.m., there's a good chance they can get it their same day. If not, they'll get it in the next day. So I just heard that.
However,
Go ahead.
However, they will not deliver any medications to me because the medications I get from a pharmacy, I do not have subscription to get refilled on a monthly basis. They will not give you even if your doctor says you need it, unless you want to get it refilled every 30 to 60 days, they're not going to help you. I called the pharmacy itself. They said, no, we won't do it. You have to pick it up. You have to get a subscription to it so that it's mailed, so that it's delivered to you every month.
Well, without getting into your personal business, I just want to pass along what I heard about RCMS and their ability to get
I
deliveries.
heard that. I heard that too. I just want you to know that no, they won't deliver it to anybody just because they have a doctor's prescription.
That's not what I said. But anyway, so are we done with that item?
Okay, Melissa, thanks
Yep.
for taking care of that letter. Are we on to letter B, 6B, GCAP committee, Tom and I.
Yeah, Robert, we need to talk to Caltrans for our conversation with the sheriff earlier tonight. And we
Okay,
can also check in about those rumble strips on the highway and about where they are.
okay, need to talk to Caltrans and then rumble strips, okay. And that's probably all we have for tonight, huh?
Oh,
Melissa,
don't
are you
have
trying
anything
to
there.
say? Is Melissa trying to say something?
I was just making comments from the peanut
Okay.
gallery.
So,
With the word rumble, it just evoked certain
Okay.
images.
we're trying to keep this short for you tonight, Melissa.
We're getting there. 6C.
All right.
6C, that's Tom.
Yeah, just to let you know, there's some rumblings in town about having a meeting to discuss the housing issue. I have volunteered to participate in that and even use GMAC's Zoom link to conduct the meeting as part of the Housing and Economic Development Committee. It's a natural follow-on to the work we were doing before the COVID hit. I'd still like to get a couple of new members on the council so we can have another body on the committee. But Robert, if we get into that, maybe I'll ask you to sit in.
Okay,
That's all I have for tonight.
okay. No, if you want me to sit in, I'll do my best, Tom, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Okay, then we go on to 6D, the electric vehicle charging station possibilities at the community center. Don? You have anything on?
Yeah, I don't have anything new to add at this point, but I do intend probably next month to put together a proposal for the community center and then appear before their board to present it and see if we can get the community center on board for a charging station. I don't need to sort of reiterate the arguments for this. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Electrification is where we need to be. It's becoming more and more critical in transportation and really in all other energy areas. We need to electrify. So it's going to happen. Guaranteed, it's going to happen.
Mhm.
The question is, how soon? That's all. And in my
Sooner
mind,
the
the sooner the better.
Yeah.
That's all.
Okay.
The world is changing, and we need to be a part of it, I think.
Mhm. Maybe even on the forefront if we can be.
Yeah,
locally.
well, I'm not sure we're going to be on the forefront. There's a lot of other people that are
Well,
doing a hell of a lot more than we are, but
True. Other
we need to do our part.
Yeah.
Clearly, our little community.
you're referring to other countries are, yeah, but maybe localized California or
Well, even there are some cities in the United States that are making great strides.
Yeah.
But certainly not at the federal level yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Maybe we'll see.
How about car companies themselves? I heard something
Well,
about
yeah,
Ford the other day.
the car companies are on board to invest billions and
Uh-huh.
billions over the
Uh-huh.
next decade into electric car technology. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we need to help push it along if we can.
Hmm. I know you're a big proponent of it, Don.
I don't know if anybody did anybody listen to Mike McGuire's town hall last night? It was really, really good. It's on
Uh-huh.
the climate crisis. He had 3 panelists who were experts in their field, basically either climatologists or scientists study climate. They had over 4,000 people attending the event online.
Wow.
So it was really well attended. They hit a lot of the points that needed to be made in terms of where we are at, California. Focusing on California and climate change's impact on California. And of course, they mentioned the fact that basically 40% of carbon emissions in California are from the transportation sector. And so that is a key area that we need to work on to bring down carbon emissions, as well as, of course, the change to the electrical infrastructure in our country, such that, or in our state in particular, such that electricity is basically produced 100% renewable.
Mhm.
I mean, that's where we have to go.
Yeah. Wow, that would have been interesting to attend that last
I
night.
mean, they touched on everything: drought, fires, all the big issues that are impacting this state.
Wow. That's
Now, you could, if anybody's interested, it's still available. You could sit through it. It's recorded. It's available on Mike McGuire's website.
okay. Something like we have to do one of these days with a water forum, huh?
Yeah, but I think it would be hard to get
That many,
a group of experts like Mike McCoy got.
yeah, he's got some pull. Wow, that was
Yeah, he
interesting.
does.
That was interesting, Don. Okay, should we move on?
Yep.
Okay, 6E, Telecommunications Committee. That's both Don and Tom.
We had 104 page views last month on two videos, the main meeting video, which lasted 4.5 hours, and a breakout of the PG&E session. The PG&E session in the main one accounted for about 1/3 of the views, and of course, all of the views in the other one. So in total, out of the 104, you could say about 2/3 of that traffic was because of that video with the sheriff's department coming in second. So that's what I can tell you about it from the analytics. That's all I have for the telecommunications committee, unless Don has something.
No, I don't really have anything to add. I just, as you know, I had to spend a little time to sort of catch up the website in terms of agenda information and video information for each month. I think I sent out an email to you with that information. There were a couple gaps of months of information where I could not find either the video or the agenda or the minutes, that is. So we still have a few months that are missing that information. And if anybody...
Yeah, and I will work with Don and follow up on that. I've got that email sitting on my desk here. I just haven't had a chance to go through the listings. I have one of the minutes when Mary was out, so I'll send that your way, along with anything else I can find.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, Don. I was the one who brought it up to Don and noticed that a bunch of things were missing, and I really appreciate I think you probably spent all of a Sunday doing that, so thank you.
It took me a couple hours, but that's okay. And I appreciate you reminding me about that time. So thanks.
It's appreciated.
Okay, thank you guys both. On those 104 views, Tom, you were saying 2/3 was PG&E?
Well, it's about 1/3 of the original video was PG&E, and then I put the second video up a day later, and all the views since then have been the PG&E video. So
Okay.
we got, or almost all of them, I should say. So I would say the PG&E was the big thing. In the analytics, it shows that 1/3 of the traffic on the initial video was for PG&E. That was notably higher than other topics. But it's hard to say. About 2/3 of the audience was there for various other things like the tower or the housing project we talked about. Amy Wynn probably watched a few of these things. The planning department probably watched them. So that's kind of scattered around. And of course, the sheriff always gets a good viewership. He probably had 20%.
Yeah. Okay. I was working with one of the it was kind of a major landowner that was affected by the PG&E transmission lines and giving him information or trying to give him more insight in how to contact that Robert fellow. I forget what his last name was.
Villasenor.
Yeah. So I participated helping him with that contact info, and then how to get on to the Mendocino County website to actually look at the CDP under the public agency referrals. So
he can watch our discussion as well and see the pictures that we had and the comments that were made.
Right. Refer to that. Refer to our minutes also, and to our motion. I refer to.
And Ted said he's going to be looking at our video as well.
Okay. Great. Okay. And then I'll be catching up with Mary on a lot of the mail things I told her after our meeting this week. So we'll get Mary back up to speed here, and I'll remind her on those meeting minutes and agendas, Don. Okay, like we talked about earlier. Okay.
She already told me she's going to do the minutes tonight from watching the video. So I'll try to get the video out to her by tomorrow.
Okay. So we're down to the next item, which is our water ad hoc committee. Don and I didn't meet. I put a little PDF together and I sent it to Don today just to show you guys what's happening to the river when we get these little water events during the past month. But otherwise, we haven't had a chance to get together and meet and do anything really substantial on this. And I know, Don, I don't know if you have anything to say on that. We will at some point get further with this, but it's been a little bit hit and miss, I have to say.
Yeah, my feeling at this point is that we should try to schedule something with the North Gualala Water Company, David Bauer. Get sort of around his schedule, try to get him to agree to participate at a certain date. And then once we have David on board, then we can, deal with getting some other participants. I think North Gualala Water Company is absolutely key to be involved in this. Also, after listening to Mike McGuire's and viewing, his presentation, the experts that were participating, there's actually some really good content related to water issues. And so I'm thinking we could extract some segments of that. It's all publicly available, information, and use that as well. I'm not talking really long segments, just short snippets where, key information is provided by these experts. I think that would be useful as well.
Yeah, and I keep on thinking about this long-standing water moratorium we've had, and I'm thankful that there is this water hookup moratorium. We see the river flows. I see what happens in just these little water events, and we know, as I'm sure all the experts will be telling us, that we have to find a way to capture water when there is flow, when there's lots of flow, and we've known that for so long, but we're not getting anywhere from a water company perspective or from a water source or water storage perspective. If we ever want to get beyond this water moratorium.
Well, that is exactly the point that was made last night. Okay. Exactly that California, not so much the North Coast, but certainly the rest of California has depended on the snowpack in the Sierra to provide water during the dry months. The state can no longer do that in as reliable a way as in the past. And that's because because of warming temperatures, the snow doesn't last as long. So what is key going forward is going to be storage.
Right.
Storing the water when we have the water, and that is in the winter. And that's, I think, is the same solution that we're going to have to adopt along the North Coast. Because the other point that they made about climate change was that what we are going to experience going forward is drier springs, drier fall. Of course, summer is always dry, and a winter which could be extremely wet. Extremely, we could have massive storms in the winter. That is when we need to capture the water for use later.
Okay. Yeah, extreme weather patterns. So okay.
Yeah, we could have storms that, well, we all know what happened to Houston a few years ago. It may not get that bad here, but physics are involved here. And it's pretty simple physics. As the air temperature rises, its capacity to hold water increases. This is just plain old physics 101. So we're going to experience the same thing here. We're going to have some massive storms that just dump water relentlessly.
Yeah.
That's likely in our future. So that's another thing that people need to be prepared for somehow.
Yeah. Hey, Don, I was going to ask you, do you think it's worth our while to share that one screen of that PDF I sent you? Just to show how those, I sent it to you earlier today. I don't know if Melissa will be able to see it, but because she's just on phone.
I can't see it.
You can't see it. Oh, shucks. Well, Don and I and Tom are real familiar with that. So that's, but
okay, I can share that right now. Just a second.
really, okay. All I wanted to explain was, I don't even know what there it is. And off to the right, I inserted a little bit of, you see that on the exact date?
Mean spike 1 and spike 2?
Yeah, that's the text I inserted. So
okay, I see. Yeah.
Remember on that one Saturday, the 18th of September, we had, I don't know what it was, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. But
Yeah.
what it did to the North Fork, it just spiked like crazy from that little bit of rain, if it was even a 1/2 inch. And then the other little rain event we had was that drizzle on the 27th of September, and it made it go up a little bit to, what is it, the 2.0 cubic feet per second mark, roughly.
Right.
But and in the wintertime, when you look back at all the charts and all the USGS information from past years, this example here really shows what the median river flow has been in the past 14 years. That's what's so nice about this information. But these past couple years, it's been that blue line, and any little rain event where we could capture water and put it in the reservoir, similar to how the Sea Ranch does, would be very advantageous for our water company and our community. Everything depends on that. It going right down to our bread and butter economy, which is our tourism. It's all so involved with this water issue.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't see how this moratorium could ever be lifted, ever, unless we have additional storage.
Exactly.
I just don't see it happening.
And then it ties in with housing and everything, Tom, I think, because how are we supposed to house additional people or create housing, whatever kind of housing it is for our employee staff around here, that's for our working force, that keeps our economy going, our tourism economy, if we don't have this water reservoir or whatever it might end up being, cisterns, I don't know, something needs to be able
this is a very complicated issue. We're seeing a lot of wells drilled to put up houses. Those
Right.
wells are drilling into an aquifer. Is it the same aquifer we draw our drinking water from? How much can you drill and take water out of that aquifer before there's an effect? Does that aquifer overflow into the sea, as some people claim, or is it confined and does it run down? The river flow is critical for a lot of reasons, but our drinking water comes from well below the river. Are we on the same aquifer as Sea Ranch? It's, which has a reservoir and has been drinking from it for months now. What happens when they go dry? Are we overtaxing that reservoir? I'd like to know a lot of those basic questions. And when we talk about a water forum, I think there's an enormous amount of confusion in the community about the effect of clear cutting a hillside above the river and its effect on our water supply. I'd like to have local experts talk about that. People from Fogger, people from the water district, water company. If we can invite a state official to talk about that, Water Resources Board, Fish and Game. This all ties together, and it certainly ties into the housing and economic activity in our town. If you've seen what's happening in Mendocino, it's tragic. The poor restaurateurs are paying $50 for their guests that are paying a lot to have flush a toilet, or paying $50 at a hotel for a guest who takes a 5-minute shower. That's how much trucked water costs. It's just not a suitable solution. It's not something that we need to get into down here in Gualala. Water storage is a great idea. There's a lot of ways to do that. Desalination is being tried up in Point Arena. So there's a lot of things going on. And I think we can get down to some of those more fundamental issues at a water forum and answer a lot of questions and clear up a lot of confusion about how our water system works here in Gualala.
Yeah, there's so many facets to it. It's just, where do you start? But we have to make some progress, and Don and I will at some point. I mean, it's been a real hectic, busy season, I have to say, and we feel bad about not moving forward on this water forum, but we will. And given some more time, given some more reinforcements on our council, we will. But Don and I are still prepared to tackle this, and we will. We had, well, thank God, thank whoever, but we'd had some rain events here that just allowed us to eke by this year, I'm thinking. I'd like to hear what the water company tells us also, but not to belabor this any further tonight. I mean, it was just, thanks for putting that up there, Don. That little bit of rain we had, just what it did. It blows you away, kind of. And what we could do to solve this, it's not that far-fetched if we just can all work on it together, Okay.
Well, bear in mind that basically the entire state of California has water problems, major. The infrastructure is not suited for the climate that we now have and that we will have in the future. So, our problems here on the north coast are to a certain extent unique, because we're not tied into the massive water system that the state has. We're not tied into that at all. We're independent of that. Right. But nevertheless, the point I'm trying to make is the rest of the state is in a similar boat. It's just their issues are a little bit different, but we've got major water issues in the entire state of California.
Yeah. One of the things I want to see on a water forum would be an expert on aquifers, because California, the entire state of California is in a drought. The entire state of California is in deep trouble. And there are places that have sucked their water aquifer dry to the point that there are massive amounts of land subsidence. The land's falling down into the chasms left by where the water is gone in the aquifer.
Well, you've heard, Melissa, that the whole Central Valley has sunk by 26 feet over all these years. Did you know that? Right, because they have sucked their aquifer dry. So I want someone to address what's going on in our aquifer, and do we need a well drilling moratorium before we lose the water we have left? Yeah, that point well taken. Expert on aquifers. Okay, well.
Yeah, we would need expert information about that, because I have, my feeling is that there are multiple aquifers, and each aquifer gets its water from a different source. So it's not just one. It's just not one massive aquifer. Now the Central Valley might be a little different case, because that's flat. That used to be a lake, I think, millions of years ago. I mean, so there's some geological consistency to that, which we don't really have up here on the coast.
200 years
ago.
Until
we talk to someone who's an expert on the aquifers here, we're all talking out of our hat. Yeah. Because we don't know anything.
Right, we're not experts.
Aquifer. We don't know if there's one aquifer or 3 or 30.
I agree. You guys need to get together and talk this over, and we'll look forward to your report next meeting.
Okay, we've got some off-season months now. Okay, Anything else on that, Don, at the moment?
Oh, no, I think that's it.
Okay. All right, you guys, thanks for your patience with us on that. We'll go on to number 7, permit review assignments. We've got 2 items that we need to deal with. One is a property line adjustment, and the other one is a coastal development permit. The first one, A, 2021-0032, The Wolf, is to construct a new home, 2,900 square foot, two-story, single-family residence. This one is located just south of the Iverson Road, Highway 1 intersection on the ocean front. I would say it's 1 or 2 properties south of that intersection with Iverson Point Road, which is on the west, Iverson Road, which is on the east, and Highway 1, that intersection that you all are aware of up there, right? Just beyond the S turns. Who wants to walk that one? Anybody? I don't mind doing it with somebody. The second one is probably a little bit easier because it's just a property line adjustment. So any volunteers, or should I try to recruit Kevin Evans to do this next one with me? DeWolf, what do you guys think?
Well, yeah, I think 2 people should do DeWolf, but I think only 1 person needs to do Horn.
Okay.
I'll take Horn if you want.
Okay, Tom, we'll do Horn. Okay. And
And
you want to be a backup with me on DeWolf if Kevin Evans can't do it, Don?
yeah,
or-
sure.
Or Melissa? Okay, I'll get Kevin initiated and I'll work with him. But we should all look at that one, or at least review both of them online, okay?
It's a big house.
That
Yeah.
is a very big house.
When is Kevin
I'm
coming
kind of,
back?
I thought he was gonna be back for he said he'd be back for the November meeting, but I don't know what date. He's back in October.
Okay, maybe you could check his email, see when he's coming back, because that's
Okay.
gonna take a little bit of work, that one.
Yeah, okay. But
by the way, this DeWolf property, is it being built right on the bluff?
yes,
This is right near
yes, it is.
Lloyd's place.
Exactly.
right?
Why don't, we did Lloyd's back when? Why don't you just do it with me and we'll include Kevin?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay. Okay, so we got volunteers on both of these, and back up in case we need it. So that's where we're at on those
On the other
two,
hand, Robert, you know what we could do is draft Lloyd just for this one CDP. He lives right there in the neighborhood.
he's on the he's on the contact list, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know. He would have to recuse because he's a neighbor.
Yeah, he's on the contact list, I'm pretty darn sure. Okay, so anything from Mary on her report? Tom, did she say anything to you over the phone?
No, just that she regrets she's not been able to be here. She'll be doing the minutes from this recording, and thank you, Mary, for that. I know you're watching. She'd probably report on her expenses, but we'll just put that off the next month. No problem.
Okay.
By the way, Tom, do you know what kind of internet connection that Mary has and why she's having problems?
She's been emailing me back and forth, so her internet's up. It could be a bandwidth issue, or it could be something local on her browser or something.
No,
She just
no,
wasn't
but
getting through to the links.
I just want to know whether she's using Further Reach or some other provider or what.
She was on another system. I think she switched to Further Reach recently. I'm not sure what she has now, to be honest.
Okay.
But it was she switched because she had problems with the satellite. And this is the first time she's had problems with the new system. And I suspect it's a local problem on her desktop.
Okay, I'm gonna request that at the next meeting, we just have a more private little session, the four of us or the five of us, so we can talk about something with regards to Mary, okay? I don't want it to be on the public video, but we need to do something along those lines. And
Okay, you can call a personnel session. That's one of the reasons that we can have a closed session. And
that's what I'd like to prepare you
we'll
all.
just put that, we'll have to put that on the agenda for next meeting.
Yeah, and I wanted to prepare you all for that, okay? So we do that.
Yeah, but
Okay,
would you want to have that before the meeting or afterwards? Personally, I would prefer it before.
Okay, let's do it before. Before meeting personnel session. Okay, good, thank you.
okay, maybe we can start the meeting at, you think it'll take long, Robert?
No, it shouldn't take but a couple minutes, in my opinion, but
All right, why don't we schedule that for 5:45, or do you want to do it earlier, 5:30?
before we went on air, we could maybe do it at 5:50.
Well, the trouble with that is people are signing on to the meeting before the meeting. So
Yeah,
we can't have them sign in if we're gonna have a private session.
Logis-
The other
Well-
thing you can do is we
Well,
can,
well, yeah, yes, we could. Tom, just enable the waiting room. That's all. Just have them sit in the waiting room.
Logistically is what you guys are talking
well,
about.
we do that.
I
We
think
do that now.
that's
We
a
use the
legit,
waiting room.
yeah. let's
Okay,
use the waiting
all right,
room.
we can do
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm
is
just a little wary
5:40,
of it.
but what 5:45 be better then, huh? Or why don't,
Yeah, 5:45, I think is good.
okay, it's just, okay.
Okay,
Before meeting,
5:45.
before meeting is better than after the meeting, right?
Yeah, but we'll have to end it
Well-
before, I'd like to end it a few minutes before 6 so we can let people in.
Yeah,
Sure.
okay, we'll make it quick.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Murphy's report,
all passed tonight?
okay? You know, I got my usual little silly spiel. I can go into it, but I know everybody's been busy and we're living in extraordinary times. But I'm confident everybody's doing what they can in their, you know, in our regular lives. We're really busy, and with our volunteer lives and time. So I see this off season as being a time to kind of regroup. We've not forgotten the priority issues that Gualala is facing. We just need a little time to re-energize our HVs, I call them, our human vehicles, okay? And with a new person on board, such as Kevin, who seems pretty energetic, and with some more people, hopefully it'll get us kick-started again in the new season. That's all I wanted to say. So
Okay, thanks, Robert.
Thank you.
just a little pep talk type of stuff, you know. Okay.
Agreed.
Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay. Anybody want to second that at 7:39?
I'll second that.
Okay, thanks. So let's take a vote. Melissa,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
and Robert. Aye. Aye. It feels good to have a little bit of a short,
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
but
Melissa's gonna
okay.
go out and
thanks,
party now. She's
everyone.
got an extra hour before bedtime.
That's
Really?
right.
Uh,
That's
right.
right.
okay, thanks, you guys.
Thank you all.
Everybody.
Okay.
Good night.
night.
Take care. Okay, bye.